Pingua.
Hey, it's Mary from Pingua. Welcome. So glad you're here. We're going to look today at the Chatbot Giving Directions Mix and Match card, which is a fabulous one for creating your own choose your own adventure game or story. So just as if you had the card beside you, we're going to do the same kind of thing, but instead I have the code all built in already, and I'm just going to copy it, just like you would with the card. Starting in the yellow events blocks, we're going to choose when I receive and choose the message that will make the wizard appear, to ask Critter the questions and to give Critter the ability to fly. But you can start your code with any yellow events block that best fits your game or story. Next, we have in the purple looks blocks, we need a show, because originally this sprite, this character, is hiding at the beginning of the game. So when he receives this message, I want him to show. And you might have your character that's going to give directions showing at the beginning of the game, and it might be hiding, in which case you need to tell it when to show. Now in the light blue sensing blocks, I've chosen ask something and wait. And when you choose that blue sensing block, it will bring up a little answer box, an input box, just like we have here at the bottom of the stage. And I can put whatever I want into that text bubble. So I've got the wizard asking, "What's your name, noble stranger?" and waiting. Now because the name of the character that the player puts in is going to change with every single game, we're going to need to make a variable. But first, while we're in the light blue sensing blocks, let's bring in that answer, the sensing answer, which will report to the computer what the answer is through the variable, what that variable is going to be. So we need a set variable to the answer. What we've done here is join the variable to the answer. And let's make a variable to work for this. So we're going to go in the variable codes up to the top where it says make a variable, give your new variable a name, and we're going to call it name because it's the character's name that the player puts in that will be this variable. And I had one before set up with a small letter n, so we've just made a new one with the large letter N so that we can start fresh. Right now it's checked beside it and it's showing on the stage. I don't really want it to show on the stage. It's not something that I need to show in the game, so I've unchecked it. But it's there now as a variable and available for me to use. And that variable has been set to name. So we're going to now have the wizard say the name of the player, or the name of the character that the player has put in. So in the purple looks blocks, we'll need a say something. And I want to put in the player's name or the character's name, but I also want to say noble. So we need a green operators block that lets us put in two things with the join something and something. I'm going to put the name in the second bubble because I want the wizard to say noble and then whatever name has been put in by the player. Don't forget to type in that space after the word noble or whatever word you put in. You always have to make that space because otherwise on the stage and in the game your two words will just appear squashed together without any space between them. Another light blue sensing block, because now we're going to set up the choice for the player. So do you accept the challenge, wizard asks Critter? And the player will have the opportunity to answer. If the answer is yes, then one thing will happen, and if not, something else will happen. So we need it in the orange control blocks, we need an if something then else block. We've often used if-then blocks. This is the same thing, it just gives you the option to add something that happens if the condition isn't true, if something doesn't happen. Before we've said if something happens, then something should happen. In this case, we're saying if something should happen, then something else should happen. And if it doesn't, then something else will happen. And what we are going to do is have the wizard say two different things depending on what the player has answered. So asking Critter, do you accept the challenge? We're going to say if something equals yes. Now we need something in that first bubble. Yes, you're right, we need a light blue sensing block. We need the answer because we need to take the answer that's been put into that input box. Light blue sensing blocks report input to the computer. So if the answer equals yes, then the wizard will say, catch the crystals to reveal your mission. And I'm going to make the number value there for how many seconds it stays on the game a little bit longer to give people enough time to read it. Now, if the answer is not yes, then the wizard will say something else. So we need another say block from this purple looks blocks. And because I want to bring in the player's name again, I'd like to use two things that the wizard says. And for that I need the green operators block that joins two things. So say, join, and this tells the computer to say both of these things. We need the variable, the name, and it's a variable because it can change with each game or change during the game, because a variable means vary, to change. So the wizard will say something, name, and here I'm saying that the wizard should say farewell on your travels. And don't forget that space after travels so that you will see the space in the game. And then the variable name, and again I'm going to make that stay on the stage for a little bit longer with a larger number of seconds to give people enough time to read it. And then at the very end it will broadcast another message. So even though you can see that this, and I'm going to have the wizard hide after giving the directions, which you may want to do in your game or story. It depends on what you're building. Don't be afraid of code algorithms that have lots of blocks in them, because when you really take a look at them and use the color coding on the blocks to help you and build it one block at a time, it's really not that complicated and not that difficult to do. So what's your name? Noble stranger. And Critter answers Critter. You can press enter or the check mark, and there we have Noble Critter. Thanks so much for watching. I'm so glad you came by. I hope this helps you learn how to use this code to make your own, choose your own adventure game where the player gets to have some choice and make actions happen in the game. Can't wait to see you in the next video. Tune in to pingua.com for lots more fun.